He's a young man.
I don't know. But anyway, guys, we're so happy that you have jumped on early. Do remember that we're very open and okay with you sharing this with all your friends so that they can jump in and also be a part of the conversation. We don't necessarily want to be the only ones here talking. So you can share your comments, your views in the comment section. Or you can send us a quick little request and we will add you to the live where you can share your 2 cents and then, you know, leave space for somebody else. Let me start, Miss Daly say, really, Ruth Ann, you allowed me. But of course.
Oh, they
We're
said
happy
hi,
to
Ruth. Josiah and Sloan said hi. Hello.
Hi. Yes. So, Camelia, I don't know if you want to go ahead and share what the topic is for this week.
Sure. The topic for this week is how to become unstuck. And originally, it was not one of the topics that we had when we met and had our what do you call it, Ruth Ann? Meeting. When we had our
Production meeting,
production.
you know.
Yeah. It was not one of the topics that we had on it, but Ruth and I were always having conversations. And last week, we were having a conversation about feeling stuck. I think I was telling her that I felt stuck. And so we're like, you know what? We could not be the only ones who feel that or have felt that at some point. And so we decided that we're going to talk about what does it feel like when you feel stuck and just some tips as to how you can become unstuck.
That's Simone. Hi.
Hey!
Thank you for jumping on. Oh, well, you know what, David? Maybe when we get a little bit down in the conversation, we are inviting you to join the conversation with video if you don't mind. If you do mind, we will settle for your comments in the comment section. But if you're open to being on camera, we definitely love that. Simone said, look at y'all being grown and beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. We learn from the best and the beautiful. The best and the most beautiful. So as per usual, Camelia, I think it's best that we start off with our bold quote. Hi, Shaq. Thank you so very much for joining. And our bold quote for today is from Mel Robbins. And it says, feeling stuck is normal. Feeling stuck is normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You've just simply stopped growing. And the best trick to get unstuck is to plan something to look forward to.
Wow.
So if you're feeling a little bit stuck, what's something that you can actually look forward to, that you can grow towards? So I really like that. And I like hearing that it's normal, because sometimes when we feel stuck, when we feel uninspired, we're demotivated, we think we are the only ones it's happening to and something is wrong with us. Why does it seem as if everybody else is just living to their fullest potential and we're just here stuck in mediocrity? Like, how do I get out of this? You know, what's wrong with me? But it's a normal process, and even the most successful people we know have gone through it. No, the decision is, and where the work comes in is, will we remain stuck or will we fight to become unstuck?
We'll become an unstucker.
An unstucker.
Simone, you were asking about the drink. It is bold lemonade, bold quality lemonade, and bold quality lemonade. They're our sponsors for the show. And so we're highlighting the drink. They also have another flavor. I think it's strawberry. They have another flavor that is just as awesome. It's made from alkaline water, ginger, all the good things for you. And it is absolutely, absolutely delicious. So, bold quality lemonade.
Yes. Our proud sponsors, and of course, that's why we have our bold quote each time we join you. Hi, Raquel. Thank you. Haven't seen you in a while, brother Raquel. It's so nice to see you jumping on today. Now and again, I see you pop on. I'm not telling a lie, but it's nice to have you here. I think we're doing well as it relates to the amount of people jumping on. What was that, Camelia?
No, I was saying hi to Kazumi. Simone was saying get a life coach, and I can't get it. Oh, okay, carry on. Well, oh, Brother Raquel. When you said Brother Raquel, I was like,
Brother Raquel jump off a ship. I was really expecting Brother Ruth, so I'm disappointed with this Ruthie situation that's happening here. But we move, we move.
Yes. All right. Do you want to
So
start
let's
us
get
off?
on with the conversation, Camelia. Based on all that we would have Carmelita discussed before, and now that we're bringing everyone else into the conversation that we would have kind of had a little bit of. Talk to me, talk to us about this whole idea or this whole notion of you feeling stuck. How does
Okay.
that feel for you?
So I don't remember which, it was like in the wee hours of the morning last week. I was talking to Ruth and I was saying to her, I feel stuck. And so we started going, processing that. And for me, feeling stuck is feeling as though you're at a place where you don't know if you're supposed to go left or right. Like you don't know what your next decision is supposed to be. You don't know what it is that you're supposed to be doing. Thank you, sweetheart. You don't know what it is that, well, I don't know what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. And I was saying to her, I feel like God has called me or is calling me to do something else, something different, but I was not certain. And so I feel like I'm just in limbo. But it's not the first time that I've felt stuck, right? So I've been feeling stuck throughout my whole life. But then as Ruth Ann mentioned earlier, you get to a point, you find something else to do and you do that. But then here I am again. So is it that I'm not walking in my purpose and that's why I'm feeling how I'm feeling? Or is it that I'm now supposed to be going to another phase? I don't know. I just feel like I'm in limbo. I don't know what my next step is supposed to be. And for me, that's what feeling stuck looks like or feels like.
Okay, I understand. And I think it's similar for me and many other people. I see Simone dropping some gems. So I'm going to comment a little bit and then go to those. Yes, I felt stuck as well. And you feeling stuck today and you move past it. And I doubt it will be the last time. And as I mentioned, it has a lot to do with growth. And I think feeling stuck or uncomfortable or uninspired is just, hear me out. I just got a little, I feel nice. You know, sometimes when you get a headache, that's your body's way of telling you that something is off. You know,
Mm-hmm.
your stomach feels a little upset and you need to, because that's your body saying you've eaten something that's not settling, and the best way to treat with this is to get it out. I think it's the same way that we feel stuck in our careers, we feel stuck in our lives in general, because it's time for something else. But if we never got that feeling, we wouldn't know that it's time for a change. It's time to grow. It's time for something new. So it's our body's way of signaling us. It's God's way as well of signaling us that, hey, all right, you've done everything, you've done the prerequisite things, and it's time to move on to the big thing now. You know, you've done Intro to Life 101. It's time for life. And you've done all these things to prepare you. But we've gotten comfortable in the intro courses of life that we we feel like, okay, this might be it. I'm making money. I'm happy. I have good friends. This could be it. And God is saying, all right, you've done that. I'm proud of you, but there's more. And we can't know that there's more unless we get that feeling in our spirit to nudge us to say, you might not know what that thing is, but just do something and your steps will be ordered.
Absolutely, Ruth. As you mentioned that, like a couple, I don't remember which night it was, but I was going to turn off my phone to go to my bed. And then there's some guys, well, there's this poet that I follow. His name is Ezekiel. He's a Christian and all that. And I saw that he was jumping on a live with a couple other Christian men. And I don't know what the topic was, but because I didn't I didn't get when it started. But one of them was saying, when God gives us direction, sometimes we think that it's everything, but God gives us direction in bits and pieces. And so sometimes when you feel like you have to be tussling and what's happening next, it's God saying, hey, I gave you 1 mile of instruction. You're now at the end of that mile. Your duty when you feel like is to come back to God and say, God, what is the next instruction that you have for me? Because there's sometimes we feel like God say, oh, move, and you feel like that is all. He's like, no, God is taking you on a journey, but he's not giving you everything at once. And for me, that was comforting because it reminded me that I needed to go back to God and say, God, you brought me to this point. What is my next step going to be? Because I feel like you're calling me to more. And before I continue, Simone has some points that I'm just going to read. She says, feeling like you are not getting anywhere in life or not using your full potential. So I say get a life coach to assist you in knowing how to organize your life and discovering you. She says for some it's because they don't know who they are. They need to know how to move and what you need to do to be your best self. Absolutely. Because I find when you don't know, like, I don't know if I've discovered my purpose yet. I don't know if I am walking into what it is that God has put me here for. Because I believe that God has, like, he may have a more than one assignment for everybody. You know, the talents, the story of the talent, one he gave one and something. So I feel like sometimes, not sometimes, I feel like he gives everybody at least one assignment. I don't know if I've figured out what that assignment is. And so, like, you scramble, you do a little bit of everything. But as Simone said, you end up in the place where you're like, I don't feel like I'm moving. It's like a rocking chair, rocking to and fro, but going nowhere. And sometimes I feel like, at this point, I feel like I'm sitting on that rocking chair, just rocking, not knowing what to do or where to go next.
Raquel says, some are not even aware. And I guess it's not aware that we're stuck, because that happens as well when we're out of sync with who we are. And Simone mentioned earlier as well that we need to know who we are so we can even understand what our purpose is. But that then brings us to the point, how do we do that self-discovery? And you've said life coach, and yes, that is good and well. Some of us may not have, mommy, may not have may not have access to trained life coaches, but we have access to friends and we have access to the internet. What are some things that we can look for, you know, in order to find ourselves or figure out who it is that we are, so that we can discover our purpose? If you have any answers, let me know in the chat. Request to join or share that. Camelia, do you have any thoughts on that?
For me, one of the things, I lost my thought. What was the question again?
I was saying that many of us don't have access to trained life coaches. So the most we'll have is a friend or, you know, ourselves. So how do we sit with the self? Because it's important to ask for help. And I get that. But sometimes you don't have the correct person to ask. How do you use what is at your hand? You know, where you are now, who you have now, how can you use the tools and the people around you now to help you to discover yourself?
I say you got one now. I say you, for example, use friends. Like Ruth Ann is one of the people who know me best, I believe. And so I run ideas by Ruth. And sometimes I'm way off. And Ruth Ann is like, no. This is what it is. This is who you are. Remember this. So use your friends. If you don't have friends, use. So here, social media has its ills, but social media is a good place because sometimes we don't recognize like some of our attributes and our characteristics and some of the things we do until we see it online. And we're like, oh, so that person does that, and that's what that means. And it's a way of helping you to discover, this is God. I'm telling you, don't realize what happened and how we are now. Oh my word. Yeah, and
listen, so I'm feeling like Simone needs to hop on and tell us what's going on since we don't know.
And so you can use social media, use the internet and all that. One of the things too is, I told you, Ruth, and I feel like God is calling me to ministry in some way, not in like in the traditional form. And I remember one time I saying to God, if this is what you want me to do, then give me, I wrote about it in a blog, then give me opportunities to prepare me. And I kid you not, I got 3 opportunities to do presentations in order to prepare. I'm like, look, God. And then I realized like every time I do a video on social media that has anything to do with God or Christian, they did all the other. And something said to me one day, what more evidence you want?
So me go ask you the question like, what do you want though?
I know, it's like God showed me something else, right? So I think going to God, going to friends, and using the internet and the resources that are there, that can also be helpful. You want to?
I agree. And pardon?
No, I was asking, you want to patch David in?
He has already sent the request.
Oh no, he has to send. So David, you have to send the request, and then we'll accept it. I forgot we can't send it out.
Okay. In saying that, I'm pretty sure I forgot what it is that I was about to say. One point though is that
I can hear you. I'm not, you're stuck, your video's stuck, but I can hear you. Yeah, you're back.
am I back? Okay, great. I'm not sure what happened. One point is that you're so right, using the resource persons around us and asking God to direct us as you have. And then an important part of becoming unstuck is that once we get those instructions, it doesn't mean that it will happen instantaneously. Something is revealed to you, and in that moment, you feel good and free to move in your purpose. That's not necessarily so, because we still have work to do. So for you, you say God has laid it up on your heart to say ministry might be your next focus, your next area of focus. He's been preparing you all these years. You've been working in media, in communication, without even realizing that that's where your purpose lies, because sometimes we're just oblivious. That's what it is. But something, as you said earlier, that we don't know our full purpose from the beginning. And that's fine, because I don't think sometimes we could even manage it. We psych ourselves out. That's too big. That's too crazy, God. Like, you're crazy. Like, what? So we have to get it in little pieces. Thank you, Nicolay, for joining. I know you're very busy. Yeah. So once we get that revelation that, hey, ministry, or whatever it is that we're supposed to go into, I think we should therefore then make effort. Slow, it might be, you don't have to get up one day and launch production company, like little bits and pieces. So you found that the things that you share on social media about your belief, about God, those do well, and you really want to reach people in that way. So I say, keep doing those. Look for other ways that you can actually tap into ministry, and it's by doing that that you will find this specific area that you are being equipped for, you know, because it might feel like social media, but it might not be the full-on purpose. But it's for you to therefore say, okay, now that I know this is what I'm supposed to do, Lord, I'm just going to do bits and pieces, and you are therefore going to strengthen what needs to be strengthened. I was watching something earlier this week, and they were saying, oh, David is joining. I'll finish my points. Hi, David. Let me finish my point, and we'll jump right to you.
Did you just fall out the
She's
chair?
so filled. She's so filled, David. She turned.
Camelia, did you just drop out the
Potential
chair?
turnaround.
Hello?
The phone fell, I didn't fall.
Okay, good.
But let me finish this quick point, David, and then we jump on over to you. We're always happy to see your face, and we're glad that you have joined us. And yes, the video I was watching this week, it was basically saying that a lot of times we feel uninspired and demotivated, even after we'd have learned what our purpose is or the area that we should be moving into. Sometimes we just really don't have the willpower to do that. And he was saying I guess he was teaching someone at one point, and he said, go to the gym and start out with just 2 minutes. Every day, show up for the gym, just 2 minutes. Sometimes you do half an exercise and just leave, because what you're doing is you're building the muscle. You're practicing. So once you develop that habit, then you can build on it. Sometimes we want to build on stuff, but there's no foundation. So for you, I think build the foundation. God is saying ministry, build that foundation. Find something to share every other day or every day. Build that foundation, and then God will add on it how he sees fit in the direction that you're supposed to go. And before it, you wake up one day and you realize that, wait a minute, look how far I've come. Look how far I've come.
But I'm going to answer it after David speaks.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I don't want to speak out of turn. What you want me to talk about? Because I actually have an ad. I'll just leave it as simple as that. And you wouldn't believe, I think that's why Simone was so excited, because the question is, are you stuck?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in big, bold, and letters. Are you stuck? Because, well, I happen to be one of those people that you say people may not have access to. So I am a certified life coach under Dr. Eric Thomas. You may have heard of him. But since 1996, I was in behavior modification and management, and then got into assessments in 2001. And life has come full circle for me, because for so many years I've been helping people just because I like people to be helped to become unstuck. But now that's what I do primarily.
Wow.
Get people unstuck. So it wasn't tongue in cheek when I said I'm a professional unsticker now. And part of the challenge really is that we don't know the who of who we are. Once we don't know who we are, then the what of what we are won't work.
Ooh.
And
Say
so
that again. Say that again.
I'm writing that down.
I'll say it in positive. Let me say it in positive terms. If you know who you are, then the what will come. And that is the challenge. The foundation is missing for most of us. We have good skills. And like the two wonderful women that I'm on with right now, you have so many skills, so many talents, so many gifts, different things. And because of that, sometimes we become typecast. And people say, well, I know because I happen to be a fan, and I'm not being funny. Like Ruth Ann has the voice that I like the most. And I've been in media for a long time. And then
You're so kind, thank you.
So the temptation, though, is to say Ruth Ann is a radio personality, is a typecast.
Yeah.
And now she's in this box. And there may come a point where a Ruth Ann or even a Camelia, because listen, the two of you, wonderful. But skills must not be mistaken for
Purpose.
Where I am to live in life and how I'm to contribute, not just with things that people can benefit from. And so so my baseline, quite frankly, is assessment. And it sounds like a crazy big word, but that's where I begin. Because there are 4 elements, no matter what type of assessment you use, 4 elements that help us to determine how we're wired. And so, for instance, some of you, I'm on the thing every day, camera every day, 2 times, 6 days a week, 7 times, 1 time, 7 days a week, 2 times, 6 days a week. People mistake that for being friendly and personable. I'm not. I'm a full introvert, but I have.
Me too.
You see? And so we have these public gifts that come across as personable, and we're not being disingenuous. But listen, don't put me to be the host to welcome people into an atmosphere. I'm not going to be the one that's going to warm up the room for you, even if I have the skill, because it'll become exhausting. And so whatever I am wired to do has to do with my makeup. And then the details of the thing that I must do to contribute comes out of the wiring or the blueprint. And so, like I said, there's a way that I do it to make sure that people get to know. And they ask me things like, is this magic? Is it a crystal ball? I'm like, no, it's science. It's not magic. It's not a crystal ball. We're fine organisms. But there are some consistencies with all human beings in terms of our needs and how we contribute to the world. And once we get a handle on that, everything else falls into place. Full stop. That's why you get so many doctors and lawyers quitting and becoming guitarists. They're like, what? How did you, wait, you spent $100,000 and $200,000 US, and then all of a sudden now you want to be a guitarist with bare feet? How'd that go?
Yeah.
Well, they've always been that way. But somebody did not tap into it early enough. And so they did what they could do because they didn't know what they should do.
No. What a word. I almost said hallelujah. You need to say that again.
We can almost call it
That's the word.
That's the thing. I was speaking, let me give you an example. I was speaking to a woman, wonderful woman, just like you two. Can I say that again?
Say it. We like to hear it. Thank you.
She was in the United States military for many years, several years. After she left the United States military, she also worked as a high-level civilian in the United States government. And then she became a human resource professional, not just the director, not just the whatever other levels, a professional. And she is still seeking the who of who she is. What must I be doing? And she was on LinkedIn, and I said, I'm going to go out on a limb. Let's call her name Camelia. I said, Camelia, I see that you're on a journey. Can you just give me an hour of your time? And she said yes. And she candidly told me, she said, you know, if it weren't you, I would have said no, because I've done every kind of assessment. Why would I do that? And I said, I appreciate your trust. And listen, because God is great, and because I'm functioning in my calling, I'm saying, while administering this and helping people get unstuck, all she could do was say, thank God. I can't believe I missed this all this time. It was such a wonderful thing to discover the who of who I am so that she can be on the pathway now for unstuckness. You see? So it's a simple thing, but even the person who's helping you has to be called to that too.
That's true.
Two people can't get nobody not stuck.
That is true. Blind can't be blind.
No.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because when Ruth Ann was talking, I was telling her that, like, I feel like I'm being called to ministry in some way. I also, like, I come alive when I'm doing DIY stuff. The old furniture, when I buy them and I redo them. The cloth, when I'm sewing, when I'm making stuff. So I'm still conflicted about, am I supposed to tap into that creative side of who I am? Is there a way that I can merge it too? So I'm still confused. So how do you start understanding the who of who you are?
Okay, so let's go with not meeting one like me and not bring an assessment. The who of who I am wakes up no matter what I'm doing or where I am. You cannot become uncreative, Camelia. You cannot just switch off that thing and say, no, I'm not going to think about that. I'm not going to. You can't. And so one man said that we are to work where God is already moving, not as an opportunity, you know. So you know this Bible text, I'm a Bible guy, all right? There's a Bible text that says that we're supposed to train up a child in the way that that child should go. And when the old, that child won't depart from it. And we make it seem as if God is saying that, if we treat them and teach them godly things, then they'll be godly in the end. Well, that's not true. You see all this bush behind me? Look, see that bush? This is an agricultural concept. If you train the bush in the way that the bush should go, if over there is southwestern and the southern exposure is there, and the bush loves the sun, that bush will always go toward the sun, no care what.
Yes.
And so we're to find the bent, find the way of the child, because I don't care what kind of training or how they say, come up, girl, you have to come up. You have to bring yourself out. You have to whatever. Come on, girl. No, once the child is trained in the way that the child is actually already bent, and the parent or the mentor, guide, or the discovers that, you can't assign a dollar value to this. The light will always be on in that child's mind, all when the child is getting paid big money to do the wrong thing. The child is like, boy, I can't wait till this thing is over so I can go do what? I don't know.
Whatever you're speaking.
Wow.
You see? So you can start just there. What is that thing that's in you that you just can't shake, and you don't try to assign a value to it? Sorry about that. People search you out for a reason. And I don't mean to do a thing. I'm talking about where they just want to sit at your feet. And they say, Ruth Ann, tell me about that thing again. Ruth Ann, I just like to be around you when we do X, Y, and Z. Can you just share that again? You're like, oh, that thing? That's what I'm talking about. So when you start to collect those, and then say, all right, now what are we going to do with these?
Listen, everybody, it's not just us. Camelia is coming alive. I'm coming alive. Like light bulbs are going off.
Of course.
Many people in the chat, they're like, you're spitting gems, and that is factual, because every time you say something, it's just connecting to something that I've experienced, to something that's going on with me. And I'm like, oh, wow. So before I even go ahead and share any thought on all that you said, I'm going to invite you, Simone, since you're there, maybe you can drop it in the chats where people can connect with David. Because here we are just and we're so happy for this platform, Camelia, because we just love discussing these issues that affect us, and we know we're not alone, and we always are interested and happy when people like you jump on and you share value with our audience, you share value with us, and we just don't want us or anybody else to leave this with the little bit of what you give. We're grateful, but we want more. And so, Simone, I'm going to ask you to just put in the chat like David's information, how people can reach out to him, his social media pages, so that people can go ahead and follow, because we're not just here to chat and it's so nice every Sunday afternoon and then that's it. We're trying to help ourselves and help others. And on behalf of Camelia, I have to say thank you so very much for jumping on, because light and life is what you shared.
Appreciate. I just share just one thing again, please.
Sure.
So you may know that I was doing a job, a work, a valuable work in the area where I live. And for 2 years, I was a communication director for a nonprofit, right? And I have these skills. And I have been using these skills for decades to the extreme. But it's not my calling. And resigned in December from this coveted position. No scandal, no problem. It was out of sync with our family life and my calling. Everybody's confused. There must be a scandal. There must be some reason. And it's like, no, the reason is that now, in this moment, I fulfilled the mission that God gave me. And family. And when I asked the Lord, can I go? Can I go? Is it time? Is it time? He finally said, yes, go ahead. And so,
David.
Yes.
I don't want to cut you because I want you to continue, but Camelia, I just hope you're taking this. Not that I've never been stuck, and I'm not partially stuck where I'm at as well. But for you and everybody else, I hope you're listening to some of the things he's saying. So sometimes when you're feeling stuck, it's time to cut ties somewhere and move on.
That's what,
even when it don't make no sense to you, a time to move on.
That's what I was just about to comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
David.
having a delay, so I'm not trying to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so part of what was a challenge in some person's minds was, wait a minute, this guy comes from another country. He gets a position that is elected, and nobody knows how in the world he got it, including him. And then he resigns after 2 years. I volunteered for 2, and then I worked for 2. And it's like, well, who does that? Who gives up their, oh, I didn't go to a job afterwards. I did not have a job. And I am not irresponsible. Like you, many of you out there, once the light bulb goes off in your mind and you understand who you are, then you're saying, okay, Lord, sit my foot then. Could you order them, please? And when he begins to do it, it's unmistakable. I'm not exaggerating. It's unmistakable. And when he does that, you become so fulfilled. There is nothing I think about more today, except the Bible, honestly, than people say, what do you do? I say, I'm a people developer. I can't say human development because that's a psych term. I'm a people developer. No more gratification. And whatever it is that you are on the inside, that God will manifest on the outside toward people. I think the Bible says something like your gifts will make way for you.
Yes.
A pathway. Please come into my space and do that, what you are. Camelia, please do that thing, that what you are. Ruth Ann. And all of these people who are on here, whose names I can't know because my phone is too tiny. Please do that for me. And the Lord will make a way. I'm telling you. And this is not no snake oil. I'm telling you. This is all I do. I have all kind of other stuff going on. Those things are run without me. The thing that I put my hand on every day is people development for this purpose.
Wow. Ruth?
Wow. David, I just want to say thanks because you have been called for such a time as this. Initially, when Camelia and I were having the conversation, firstly, I was like, why are you up this late? She's like, why are you up? And I'm like, I don't even know, maybe it's to talk to you. And that was the conversation, how we started. And we said, look here, this sounds like what we should discuss for today. This was not on the schedule for us to discuss, but everything has been aligned. You know what I'm saying? This is divine alignment. And I see Simone is posting your information down below. I know Miss Daly has a wonderful podcast, Making It Last. She wants you as a guest there. It's amplifytheteam.com. So guys, go ahead, follow him there. And
is for individuals. And Simone is giving you everything. That's fine. Amplify the Moment is for individuals. Amplify the Team is for teams.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
and on social media, it's David Harris.
Well, you can just hit that link. It's easier.
Okay. Okay.
Thing, ladies, is I don't watch Instagram ever. This is the first time I've sat and watched that Instagram live. Wow. That's why Simone is jumping up downstairs. I'm upstairs. She's downstairs because I never watch Instagram. I don't watch videos. I just scroll by it and then boom, I see Camelia is on, and then I see my good friend The Voice is on, and then I say, all right, make her watch it then.
Listen, David and Camelia and everybody here, you see alignment. Mm-hmm. You can't prepare for alignment. Mm-hmm. That is it. You cannot prepare for it. You have to be open to it. You're like, God, this is where I'm at, you know. You see, we're searching. We want to become unstuck. We are aware that we cannot do it alone, but we're gonna make some effort. So amplify the effort that we are putting out. So, you know, yeah.
I'm just, not to cut you, but I'm just thinking about what David said about leaving his job without not having another one. And I think I may have shared a story here before. Last year, was it last year? When I was in this job, I was there for 5 months, and I just realized that it wasn't going to be it. I didn't have another job lined up. And for a couple of months, I wanted to leave, and I had all kind of people saying, oh, don't leave. What you're going to do? You have your bills to pay and all that. And I got up one day and I left. And within a week and a half, I got 5 job offers. Never before has that ever happened. And I said to myself, God is showing you that when you just give everything to him and rely on him, he will provide for you. So if what David said about, if you find yourself in a situation where you know like this is over and you're struggling to say, I wonder if I should leave and trust God. If you know God, trust him, because he will work it out. Trust me. Yeah. And as he said,
terrible. It doesn't have to be terrible. It doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. It could be something wonderful, and it's time to live the wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly the thing too, David, because similarly to you, Camelia will tell you, I'm the person who is a risk taker, who will just get up and jump off, leave job. I remember just getting a promotion, and I just knew it was not the space for me. I didn't have a job either. I left it. Even the first time I left, where most people would know me from, NCUFM, I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I was stuck. I could not grow, and I'm like, God. Which is how I even met you guys. So listen, alignment again. And I remember I went to Kingston. I was living with Camelia, and at one point the little savings done. And I said, God, really no, you not gonna do something about this? Camelia would remember. And then we were in St. Thomas for a while, Camelia, and then I got a job offer. I had applied PBCJ and then at JIS, and for some reason the one at PBCJ, they said they responded and I never saw the email. JIS is where I was supposed to go, and it sounds weird and it's difficult, but this is where faith comes in. And this is where, David, it goes back to knowing who you are and whose you are. Because not anyone can just get up and do that, because it can go terribly wrong, and not because it was not destined to go better, But because of who we are and we weren't ready, we're not prepared, we're not being faithful in this faith walk to have what happened, what is designed to happen. And so we become the stumbling block in our way.
I want to show you something really cool. So I said, a man said, move where God is already working.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I'm looking for a domain name, a web address now, because where God is moving is for me to coach coaches. Thing that's happening to me now. And I'm like, okay, Lord, well, if that's where we're going, that's where we're going. Because a lot of coaches, no disrespect to anybody, I'm saying, and I want this to be a word of caution to some who may be watching or will watch. There are some of us who do this kind of work, who sell you dreams, sell you affirmations, positive thinking, and literally no plans. Literally no direction, just positive thinking. That cannot help you. I can tell you that. So I said on a little thing I do a 7-minute something every day that's related to this. And I said, I'm not an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm not a realist. I am, and I made it up, I am all sufficientist. So always sufficientist. So when I tip over the glass, I know because of everything that we've said and more, that every time I tip over the glass, I'm going to have exactly what I need. 100%. So it's not just about perspective. It's not just about outlook. It's not about telling myself, I am so wonderful. My name is Camelia and I am somebody. You know, that's wonderful, and it is true. But it only goes but so far, because you need to know how to do something, how to make the impact in particular, specifically. And so the ones who do what we do well actually guide people to the actual nuts and bolts of the how. What do I need to do specifically to move into the next space? How do we do this? And that's critical, because you will burn a lot of money for somebody to tell you how wonderful you are, and you to look in your mirror and say the same thing to yourself. Don't do that. Please don't do that to yourself. Please.
Do that for free.
Yeah, you can do that. YouTube does that. You can do that. Watch it on YouTube.
Absolutely. So for those who've been watching and those who are just joining, if you were to leave them with one thing today, if you're feeling stuck, what would that be, David?
The one thing is to realize that's true. If you feel stuck, it's not a feeling, it's true. And since it's true, know that there's a way to be unstuck. And in this case, you can get a little direction, because if you're watching this program, then you've seen where there's somebody who may be able to assist. So that is the context. If you feel stuck, you are. But the critical thing is, well, why and in what way? Because stuck doesn't necessarily mean the same thing for everyone.
True.
And you can be stuck doing something extremely important and wonderful. So don't disrespect what you're doing just because you're stuck at the moment. There are reasons why human beings are stuck or feeling stuck. And it may not be a change of what I'm doing. It may be a change of how I relate to what I'm doing. Here's an example. I know you're closing. Oh my goodness. Here's another one. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was sharing with a coach that, okay, I'm looking at your assessment, and she's trained in a lot of what I'm trained to do. And I said, well, I noticed that you have a personality conflict with yourself. And let's call her Ruth Ann. It's not Ruth Ann. So it's not Ruth Ann.
It's fine, maybe I love. Maybe it's me too.
But this woman has aspects of her personality that are extroverted. They're up, they're sunshiny, they're wonderful. Everybody wants to be around her. She's so exciting. And then she has the other aspect where when there's a problem to resolve, she's gonna fix the problem. And I said, it appears to me, Ruth Ann, that when you are in a certain situation, people are confused. Are you okay? are you okay, Ruth Ann? Are you okay? And you're like, yes, I'm okay. And you're wondering, well, why do people constantly ask me if I'm okay? Well, that's because they don't know that you're a fine organism. You're not one kind of person at all times. And when you are relating to problems, you can't relate to people. I'm speaking about this particular woman until you resolve the particular problem. And I made up a...
David, it's me this. Stop it. When did we talk?
So really, it's to identify and number one, say, there's nothing wrong with me. Ruth Ann, look in the mirror. There's nothing wrong with you, Ruth Ann. There's nothing wrong with you. What it is that at this moment, while I'm relating to my problem, I can only relate to that. And when I've done that, I can get back up to that effervescent one that can relate to people again. You see? And so she didn't have to stop or live or do anything differently. She had to recognize the who of who she was or is, and then not feel guilty for being herself.
Wow.
Mash up her relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it mashed up some things at work, same way. And it's like, no, 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 no. So now you know nothing's wrong, right? Now you know this is built into who you are. And this is resolvable in the sense that you identify it and you come across in the way where people can understand it and you don't feel guilty. Move on.
Yeah.
Done.
I think a lot of times we aspire to be who people think we are. And in doing that, we kill who we actually are.
Yeah. And so when we see ourselves in the mirror, we don't recognize that person at all, because for years we've practiced to be a particular kind of person, and sometimes it's not it. People around us who love us sometimes can steer us in the wrong direction. That's why sometimes you definitely do need a life coach, and that's why you need David. Because I love you, Camelia, and I know you love me, but what you want for me might not be what is for me or who I am. You know, and you're not doing it out of maliciousness. You truly want the best for your friend, but that's the best according to you, not the best for who I am. And that's why sometimes it's so good to ensure that we speak with a professional. And that's why it's so awesome that even though Camelia and I have great points, and based on experience and research, we have lots of information that we would have shared today. We're happy that you were able to join us, David, and from a professional point of view, you could help us and everyone who is on this live with us to understand certain core information as we start this process of becoming unstuck.
Yes.
So I want to thank you for that. We have like a few minutes left to wrap up. I think I'm asked you for your final point, and you shared it. If you have nothing more to share, then we're gonna go back to Camelia. And once again, David, thank you. Wealth of information. Just to remind everyone, make sure Simone keep dropping the things in the chat for people who just joined, even if you're late, so that if you need help in figuring out the who you are, so you can figure out the what it is that you need to do, David can help you. Because sometimes we just know what we need to do, you know, and that's enough. But after that, we need help, and help is great. Help is important. David is somebody who can help all of us. So please drop his information down below. Thanks again, David. It was a pleasure having you. Yes, love you, of course. Love you, Simone. Thank you so very much. Camelia, over to you.
Ruth, I'm just grateful that I'm here. I'm grateful that David was led here today, because as I told you, this came out of me feeling stuck. And David is definitely going to hear from me, because I don't like where I'm at, but I don't feel as badly as I did when I came on, because I'm like, you know what? I'm not alone. There's nothing wrong with me, and help is available.
Oh, you froze a little bit. I didn't realize. Oops, you're tumbling down. But absolutely, Camelia, I'm right there with you. And I don't know. I don't have anything else to add, except that I'm happy that I was here. I'm happy that God had you know, God blessed us and he aligned everything so that we could have had this conversation to help not just ourselves, but everyone who is on this chat. And before we go, I just want to share our bold quote once again. And of course, this is brought to you by our sponsors, Bold Lemonade. And the quote is from Mel Robbins. Sorry about the ice cream truck outside. Let me get some. You know, it's Sunday evening in Jamaica when you hear that sound. Yes. So let's go to our final, let's go to our quote for the day. And it is from Mel Robbins. Feeling stuck is normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You've just simply stopped growing. The best trick is to get unstuck, is to plan something to look forward to. If you're having troubles with that, reach out to David. He'll help you to figure that space out. Camelia will share her final words, but for me, that is it. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the program. We look forward to having you next week and the week after that, as you know, we help each other to become our best versions, you know, the best versions of ourselves. Cam?
Ruth and I have nothing to add, but thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you again, David. It was an absolute pleasure. I thoroughly enjoyed the program because I wasn't only sharing, but I was learning so much. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? So I want to thank everyone for joining, and I hope to see you back here next week. As usual, Ruth, thank you for making the time and for being here with me. See you guys next